his first pardon. You'll cheer when you know to who. It has been communicated that President Donald Trump is seriously considering pardoning former Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Arpaio was recently found guilty because he refused to follow a judge's orders to stop profiling suspected illegal immigrant drivers. Trump went as far as telling Greg Yearold from Fox News that the pardon could take place in a matter of days. Fox News has reported more details on the charges. Both men initially aligned on the issue of illegal immigration, but commentators claimed that the report proved Trump sides with racists. This would be Trump's first presidential pardon if he chooses to follow through with it. Could you imagine? Eric Holder claims, gets instantly crushed. On Saturday afternoon, videos surfaced of a white supremacist man bulldozing his vehicle into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing one woman and injuring dozens more. News spread like wildfire, and some were wondering why the White House had not immediately labeled the attack a terrorist action. Former Arkansas governor explained that it is not always smart for the president to jump to conclusions before all of the evidence is gathered. This did not stop former Attorney General Eric Holder from writing. Jay Caruso of the Dallas Morning News responded to Holder. In 2009 there was a shooting at Fort Hood committed by Army psychiatrist and jihadist Nidal Hussain. This is what the Daily Beast reported. Sadly, the shooting was classified as workplace violence instead of an act of terror, which means the victims and their families were not allowed to obtain Purple Hearts or any other special benefits available specifically to service members who were injured during combat. At the time of the shooting, Holder was serving as Attorney General. Maxine Waters calls Trump White House the white supremacist's house. She gets a massive wake-up call. A few days ago, Representative Maxine Waters, D. California, called for the impeachment of our president. Waters took to Twitter to discuss her thoughts about the White House and its ties to the violence that ensued over the weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. She reminded us of the horrifying Trump rallies that have already scarred the country. To clarify, what the president actually meant was that if people were smart, they would just get the protesters out of his rallies. He even offered to pay the legal fees of any person willing to defend him and others from violent protesters. Waters was clearly just getting started. Waters may be saying all of this now, but in the past she has in fact voiced her support for violent protests, but no one seemed to be buying it. Breaking: Fox News reveals Eric Bollings' replacement. Fans are surprised. Last week, Fox News host Eric Bollings was suspended after rumors spread that he was sending inappropriate photos of himself to female colleagues. It is not surprising that the network is in final talks about his replacement, but who they are thinking of hiring may come as a major shock to you. As reported by the Daily Mail, Laura Ingraham, conservative commentator, is set to host her own show on Fox News as Bollings' replacement. The first to post this unexpected news on Monday to their Twitter feed was Matt Drudge. Matt wrote, "Fall preview, Laura Ingraham's prime time to shine. After years in the trenches, much deserved." This news has been reported after footage emerged of Bollings referring to one of his accusers, Carolyn Heldman, as Dr. McCarty during his Fox News show. Heldman revealed that the harassment actually intensified after the interview concluded. Heldman expressed all of this in a lengthy Facebook post. Bollings said he wanted to fly me out to New York for in-studio hits and to have fun. He asked me to have meals with him on several occasions, but I found excuses not to go. Once, he took me up to his office in New York, showed me his baseball jerseys, and in the brief time I was there, let me know that his office was his favorite place to have sex. She continued, "My only surprise is that it took this long for people to come forward about Bollings' behavior, which has been wildly inappropriate for years. Unfortunately, this is bad news for fans of Bollings, as many were hoping that he would be able to bounce back from these accusations. It would seem that his career with Fox News is really over now that Ingraham is set to be his replacement. Do you think she will make a good Fox News host? Is she a good replacement for Rhino calls Trump unfit to be human on CNN, watch what happens next. Although CNN claims that they are not a biased network and their reporters represent both political parties, they have just fired Jeffrey Lord. He was their last remaining on-air personality that advocated for our president. The most criticism Trump has received has come from CNN's leading contributor, who ironically is also claiming to be Republican. This so-called Republican Anna Navarro freaked out on live TV and started blurting out statements about how our president was unfit to be human. She continued her rant, at a moment when the country so badly needed to hear from the President of the United States about healing and unity and condemning white supremacy and condemning racism and condemning neo-Nazis. He was a coward. She carried on, he didn't have the spine to behave like a leader of the United States. And I feel that is shameful. I'm glad the Republican leaders are calling him out on it. I'm glad elected leaders in the Republican Party are finally stopping looking the other way and confronting the fact he's not only unfit to be president. In my book, his lack of empathy, his lack of leadership, his lack of courage, he's unfit to be human. Look, he had an opportunity. He's had 2 days. He's had more than 2 days to address this, and he has failed to do so. To do so now under duress because of public perception, because of public pressure. Thank you, buddy. I really don't need it. Finally she concludes, I think it's spiritual leaders, I think it's the governors, I think it's the other elected leaders, I think it's US citizens, I think it's regular people who need to step up. And we need to be the ones that unify and heal ourselves, because the President of the United States is a shameful nincompoop and capable of doing it on his own. Does Anna Navarro deserve to get fired for this? Liberal protesters sabotage a 100-year-old Confederate statue. Horrifying videos have gone viral that expose liberals for once again trying to destroy anything related to Confederate history in Durham, North Carolina. As reported by RAW, liberal protesters congregated at the old Durham County Courthouse with intentions to demolish the Confederate statue. At 7:10 p.m., a woman protester was so angry that she climbed up the statue and wrapped a rope around it. The statue fell shortly thereafter. Once the statue hit the floor, protesters began to kick the destroyed relic disturbingly, and a man of it spat it. The statue was dedicated to Durham in 1924, and the caption disgustingly stated, "The Confederate States of America." Lone Tran, an organizer of the protest, demanded, "It needs to be removed." These Confederate statues in Durham, in North Carolina, all across the country. She also added, "When I see a Confederate statue in downtown Durham, or really anywhere, it fills me with a lot of rage and frustration." Of course, the protesters said this was all in response to the events that happened in Charlottesville over the past weekend. Takia Thompson expressed, "People can be mobilized and people are angry, and when enough people are angry, we don't have to look to politicians to sit around in air conditions and do nothing when we can do things ourselves." This is what Durham County spokeswoman Dawn Dudley said in a statement. Due to a North Carolina state law passed a few years ago, Durham County is prohibited from removing or making substantive alteration to historical monuments and memorials. I share this to say that there is a statute in place making the efforts you mentioned below difficult to move forward. I would assume that the only thing possible are steps to reverse the law. Shocking announcement about Willie Nelson. Please pray. As fans are praying for Willie Nelson's quick recovery, they fear what is to come. Billboard reported that 84-year-old Nelson had to cut his concert short on Sunday night because he was experiencing breathing problems. He was only in the beginning parts of his show when he exited the stage during the performance at the Usana Amphitheater in Salt Lake City, Utah. Worried fans were relieved to find out that their idol was doing much better via Twitter post. This year there have been numerous rumors about the state of Willie Nelson's health, especially because he has had no choice but to cancel a number of tour dates due to a peculiar illness that he never revealed to the public. I got up 2 or 3 times in the last couple of years and read the paper where I passed away, so I just wanted to let him know that's a lot of horses, T. Nelson has previously said. The best thing we can do right now is keep Willie in our thoughts and prayers.